How are you, man? Good to see you.
I'm good. I'm looking forward to
Great.
this.
Good to see
Been
you.
chomping at the bit to get the uh, the reports that I have to get done in Word, and then
Oh
move
man.
to this.
Yeah, well, let me know if you get stuck, man. I'd love to keep you moving.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Um, one of the things I have to do is to get certain fonts and things customized in ScribeWare for court.
Yep.
If anything's going to go to court, there, as you guys know, there are certain standards. You can have flexibility, but certain things like the fonts and the spacing, are
Interesting.
preferred.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't really know that. That's pretty
Oh
cool. I
no,
mean,
there's a whole style section that
interesting.
they mainly for when you're doing complaints and filings for appellate court, but
Hmm.
still, the reports have certain things that they like.
Hmm.
And there's accessibility requirements too on
Hmm.
these documents that
Hmm.
certain fonts are preferred for people that are visually impaired reading.
That's super interesting. Boy, that could be like a whole other Zoom
I have a
topic.
whole I have whole research on that.
That's cool.
Spacing
Yeah.
fonts. Like now they've gone to where you just capitalize the first in a heading, just the
Huh?
first letter, make
Yeah.
it sentence case because it's easier to follow on web documents.
Interesting. So do you have the sort of Strunk and White style manual of styles or whatever that book was called for legal documents?
Well, I actually, yeah, years back, I did have a documentation for preparing your, your reports for court.
Yeah,
But that was
cool.
20 years ago. Now I just can go to the internet and look it up because
Interesting. Yeah,
different
yeah.
appellate courts have different things.
No, that's super cool, Stanley. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks all for being here. We got a great turnout. Geez, we got 40 people here. Have fun. So I'll give a quick introduction and then we'll kind of turn things over to Tim. This is like all of our Scriber meetups, just an open forum to like ask questions and kick the tires on thing. Tim has been working hard to kind of give us a little presentation on CSS. Many of us scribers have been using it for quite a while to just kind of customize our reports. I do, and I'm like I know nothing about code. So this is actually kind of fun. I mean, it's pretty accessible for everybody to kind of play around with their reports. And we have an open portal in ScribeWare where you can build code and paste it in and kind of experiment with it. So I won't steal any of your thunder, Tim. I'll kind of turn you loose and you can explain it all to us and give us some samples and we can ask Tim questions.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. So Dylan asked me to do this CSS meetup, and I've been looking forward to doing one of these for a while because I know I've seen a lot of excitement on the forum about CSS. So let me go ahead and start with sharing my screen. Give me just a second. I'll take it off of dark mode because that probably people aren't used to that. Um, Everybody, are you seeing the screen okay?
I got it.
Perfect. Um, So there are now two places that so CSS basically as far as what it is, every web page, most web pages have some form of it. So when your report is generated, you generate all the HTML and then CSS is like a layer on top of that to tell where all of the elements, like how they look, where they go. So for an example, I pulled up a report here. Let's see. So yeah, if we took Um, if we took this report and we just deleted the CSS out of it, which is in the header, and we'll go into how to do some of this. Let's see. So this is what an inspection report would look like without CSS at all. Um, so this is the HTML that the report generates. Some of the styling is put on there directly into the elements when they're generated, but like this would not be something you would send to your clients. Um,
Yeah, that's just awful. Yeah.
and so that's what, there's ScribeWare has the CSS, like the base CSS built in. And then the way that CSS works is that it uses, like, if you have multiple rules going towards the same element, it uses the most recent one. Um, so what we're doing with the custom CSS is we're just taking what ScribeWare put in, which turns the page into this, and then you can take individual elements and override that even further to make it meet your needs. So there are uh, two places where you can put in CSS. One is a company-wide. So you go into your settings in advanced, and then you have this company-wide report CSS. If you haven't been there a while, the look of this changed a little bit since we have two places now. But you would just type it in here, whatever's in here, it puts it in the report. It'll override the style on some of those elements. There's a toggle on this now where you can turn it off. That's mainly used for troubleshooting, so that if you're having an issue with something on the report, usually my first thought is it something I did? Let me turn off my CSS, publish again, just see if it's, what if it's something in my CSS or if it's something else. And so you can toggle that on and off. The new place where you can do CSS is if you go into, if you open up the report, and this is one of Dylan's sample reports, go to your client property information page, and this will look a little different because this is the new interface. But under advanced settings, there's now an edit report specific CSS. Um, so there.
And this is all
Um,
thanks to Tim, everybody. And I'm not even, does everybody have this now, Tim, or will that
Everybody
become?
has this. Yeah, it's
Okay,
been in
cool.
there for a little bit. It's definitely in the most recent release.
Yep.
But yeah, so you would come and edit report specific, enable, and I was testing something on this one. The nice thing about the edit report specific is it is a typical report setting, so it does save to the template. So if you wanted to have one template, like have CSS on one template and something different on a different one, if you change it on your main report and then save that report to the template, or save the template from that report, all of that CSS goes into the template. And so you can,
Wow.
if you want to have the header green on one type of report and yellow on another type or whatever, there is that ability now without doing
That is
anything too
awesome.
tricky.
So that's total game changer if you have multiple different templates. I know like Stanley, for example, might have one different templates or some big teams with like commercial. You could have like a whole different look for your commercial, correct?
Yep. Yep. And the other thing you can do is if you want to test something, especially for the multi-inspector firms, you don't have to, like, if you paste it in that company box and another person publishes a report, they're publishing whatever you just pasted in. And so if you want to test something, I would do it at the report level first and then move it over to the main one.
It's pretty
Um,
cool. Yeah.
Can I ask a silly question? What's CSS stand for?
it's
Cascading style
Yeah.
sheets.
Yep.
Not
Yep.
that that really helps us, but but
Well,
that's what
no,
it
I just
stands for. Yeah.
was curious.
Yeah, and so it's cascading because the rules will kind of overlap each other. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
how they style the reports. Um, so that's just a quick intro on how to put in CSS. The
Real quick,
next,
Tim, if you
yeah,
don't mind, I just looked at mine and all I have is add report specific CSS. I don't have any other stuff you have.
the stuff that's already in there, that's in there from something I was
No, no,
testing
no.
earlier.
In other words, on the main screen, under it says add favorite observations. Mine just comes up with a slide bar that says add report specific CSS. I don't have uh, report settings or any of that stuff.
So this is all the new interface. This is going to be ScribeWare 7.0. I'm on a beta version of that.
Oh, okay.
And
So we
so
won't see what you're seeing here yet.
right, this when you press this button, what you see here is going to be what you would see.
Okay, I'm
Um,
sorry. Okay.
but no, the interface, like all these, the dark modes, all that is coming. It's still in beta testing right now. Um, so let's jump into some examples of CSS, and then I think the biggest thing, because people have seen it, on the forum floating around, pasted it in. I think probably a good portion of you have had played with that a little bit at least. Um, the main thing I want to show you is kind of how I like to test it. And there's probably plenty of other ways to do this. This is just the system that I've ended up working out. But let's go to this report. And so the nice thing about editing CSS is it doesn't require any special software. You don't have to download anything. You can do it right in your browser. So this is a Chrome browser. You can do it in pretty much any browser. There's usually some kind of inspect element uh, uh, thing. And I think on this one, if you right click, inspect is how you would get to that. It's also F12 on the browser, and that'll work for any page. Like you can look at the individual elements on Google, on every page you can visit, you can see what all the different elements are and how the page is structured. And so just move this back over here. So this is how I like to do it, is I like to pull up the element inspector to see uh, to see what's in the report. And then from there, like if you click on a specific element, so let's say I wanted to do something with this report PDF button, I can click this button here, the little arrow box with the arrow going into it, and that allows me to move around and pick a different element. So if I click on this, it's going to stay on that one. And so this is the HTML for this item. So you've got important info, utilities, um, report PDF button, and then A is a link. So that's the link to it. This one here is the actual button. If I click on that, then in this bottom box, I'm going to see this is all the CSS that's already applied. And you'll see uh, kind of how some things override others. Um, like this is the order of it. So like the very base of the report has the font size of 16, and if you follow it up, something else, other element, put it font size at 100%, and then there's probably another font size in here. But it kind of overrides. Like if something's crossed out, like this display none is crossed out because it got set to display inline block by something else. And that was just later on in the report. Like it was display none on line 947 and 958. It changed it back to display inline block. So that's just you can kind of see the history of this of how it's done in there. The way that I like to test the CSS is if there's these links over on the right. Can everybody see this okay? I know I use a high
It's
resolution.
pretty
Let's see if I can.
small, but like I can definitely see the boxes and
Okay.
everything. I still didn't quite understand how you opened that little black portal up.
Yeah, so you can right click and say inspect to open it
Okay.
on most browsers, or I hit F12.
Okay.
And I'll try and blow it up a little bit to make it easier. I always forget that on Zoom it's hard to see
Nice.
these.
Yeah, that's
Um,
better.
No.
so on these it'll tell you like where this is coming from. And this style.css v2, that is the main CSS file that ScribeWare puts in. So if I click on that, it's going to move me to sources up at the top. And this here is actually um, the CSS for ScribeWare. And
And
so you
can you
can go
break
through.
that?
So yeah, you can change this. Now, this
Well, no,
is
but like, can you irreparably break it? Like, can you screw
no,
it up and then, okay.
no. Um, So I can take it and select it all and delete it, and it'll take it out. Like it'll show me what's here.
Uh-huh.
But as soon as I go back to the page and refresh it, it's there. Like it's part of the web page.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Um, and so that's why I like to test in this file specifically, because this is where all the CSS is for ScribeWare. And so if I scroll, like I said, it takes the most recent item that you put in there. And so if I scroll all the way to the bottom, anything that I put right here at the bottom of this document is going to basically override anything that's above it. And so if I pull CSS from somewhere and I don't want to paste it into ScribeWare and then publish a report and then open the report and then look at it and then change one thing and paste it in and publish the report and change it, I usually do all my testing here in the browser, where, it's not going to hurt anything. I could do it on any report. You can go into any random web page and change it, like change elements from this if you wanted to, but it only shows up on your computer. It doesn't upload to the internet or anything.
Interesting. Yep.
Um, but so that's where I would test stuff. Um, Now, today I've been working on a new page to kind of consolidate some of the CSS that we use a lot of that we've seen on the forum. Um, so and I'll share the link to this. This will be a public page. I've got some brief instructions here. And I'll talk to Dylan about getting this on the website. But basically, this is a ScribeWare report. It's heavily modified, not using CSS. There's other modification options that we have. But I just kind of took this and just did a lot of modifications to a report so I can get the code in there. But what I've done is I've taken some of the common ones that we've used and put some examples in there and shown the code for it. So for example, this one here, I think a lot of people have probably changed the color on the header. It's a very commonly requested one. And so this picture right here, the after picture, this is the code that we have, and I've got to put it in there in a way that you have some notes of like what the different elements are. But basically, what we could do is I'll come to this page and copy the code, basically just taking this, and I'm going to go back to this one and just paste it in. Just going to use this keyboard, Control V. And so I pasted that code into the bottom, and here's what it comes out as. And so if I were to take this exact code and instead go into ScribeWare and do settings, advanced, and paste it in here to the, let me see if I can blow this one up a little bit too. ScribeWare, you can zoom now. I don't know if that was, this is part of the new 7.0 update, but we did put a zoom. So Control plus and Control minus. But so this is, I pasted that code in here. So I'll go and preview the report. And when that comes up, you'll see that this is, the colors have been changed in there. And then I can go back to settings, advanced, take that out and preview the report again, and it'll be back out. But that's why I like to, because instead of doing all that, you can test things here. And the browser actually has some pretty good tools for testing. So with these, I can, change the background color, change some of these things. So let's say I wanted the background color to be, red. I
Oh,
can pick a
sweet.
color
You can
here.
just do that right there. That's awesome.
Yep. And then this down here is if I make it solid red, it's basically a filter. You'll hide your picture. It's kind of silly to do, but you can give it a very, very light red tint if you want. Kind of change whatever you want there.
How did you
Um,
bring up the color picker?
yeah, so whenever there's a color, so this
Hmm.
is an RGB color, you can have hex codes, there's different types of colors, but anytime it recognizes a color, it's going to put a little box there.
Ah,
So like
sweet.
it's a
That's awesome.
preview. So like the font color here is black right now.
Oh,
But if
this
I
is
click on
great, Tim.
that, I
Yeah.
can, change the font
Oh,
color.
that's so cool. I mean, I
Um,
was doing this with like you'd like have like a box up somewhere and paste it in and
yep.
preview. Like, Jesus, it'd take me forever. I'm gonna fiddle with my colors all day long now.
And,
Yep.
and Tim, do we now have the ability to make those words colors like the purple and the orange and yellow or green? Can we color the words in the CSS?
Color the word. So you're talking about this here, the words in the.
Well, like see the word color is yellow. The word
Oh,
background color is yellow. Uh, or is that
yeah. It's not here, but yeah, you can. Let me just delete this color out of there. So if I didn't have a color in here, uh, most browsers will recognize some colors. So if I type red, it will put it in there.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's not what I mean. I mean, the heading, the color, the word color ahead of that red box. What makes that yellow?
oh, this is just the browser. So the browser has its I see what you're asking now. The browser recognizes the different elements of CSS and just colors it automatically. It doesn't change anything in the report. It's just the um,
Yeah, I just didn't think that I saw that before.
yeah, you won't see it in ScribeWare. ScribeWare just takes it as a text box.
Yeah, I think Charlie, this is the browser tool that if you right click on the finished report to edit it, then you'll have access to that. Am I right about that, Tim?
Yeah, this is inspect the element on the browser. Um,
So what Tim is doing, just to be super clear, I can barely understand any of this, but is he's able to just open up a finished report, right click on it, and open up an editor just right in the browser that you would look at the report. And so
yep.
just makes it so much faster to tinker around with your custom CSS. Then when you have it the way you want it, you'll copy it out of that little temporary browser and put it into ScribeWare.
Yep.
Is that a good summary of the workflow
Yep.
you're showing us?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
correct.
that's it. I just pulled it up on my browser. Maybe it matters which browser you use, but it's not colored like that.
It's possible. Chrome, this is on Chrome, but it's completely cosmetic. But sometimes it actually does help because if you forget to put in a semicolon, it's not going to recognize this entire section because it doesn't have the right syntax, and so
Uh-huh.
it'll show you like you can look at that and be like, oh, those aren't yellow. Why? And realize that you forgot something. So sometimes it can help with troubleshooting, but it's really just visual and it's automatically done. I didn't put any of those colors in there.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
When
Um,
you Tim, when you copy and paste this into your report, does the sequence or order matter where it goes when you paste it into your report?
uh,
Like, do you have to
if
start at the top of the page and work your way down through the report, or can it go
no,
anywhere? Okay.
no. As far as like if you wanted to change this and then you wanted to change this as well, as long as you're not making changes to your changes, which sometimes you do, like sometimes you'll say, I want all header elements to be blue, but I want this type of header elements that are within the comment to be green or something like that. So like if you wanted to override something, then you would have to have the most recent one at the bottom. But as far as like physical location on the report, like I could have changed this first and then changed that. It doesn't matter. Um,
And Jason, do you get that it's once you're done fiddling with it in this little browser bit, then you would paste it you'd go under settings and advanced and ScribeWare and just paste it in there.
yep,
Right.
you just
That's what I was wondering if it mattered anywhere in that text box that we could put it, or if it's just going to pick up on headers and buttons and whatever. Just
Yeah, I don't think there's
it's
a
calling.
sequence that matters. I think that's the
no.
cascading part of the name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as things don't interact. The
Yeah,
only
that's
time it matters is if one thing is going to override another one. But no,
yeah.
it doesn't matter the order. Um,
So
This is
Tim,
Bobby. I don't mean to jump in here. Kind of a best practice for me, because I do some coding, is I keep it in order so that if I go back to edit it, I don't confuse myself. I won't
mhm.
confuse the editor, but I can easily confuse myself. But that's the only reason I keep an order. And
yeah.
so just kind of wanted to
Bobby,
mention that.
does that relate to, so I have a general code question with the CSS is that a lot of mine have that little flag. You see the little red flag and then it says change background color. I'm
hmm
assuming that's just for that. Is that like for the code or is that just for me?
Yep. So those are comments. So
Yeah.
anything, the slash asterisk and then the asterisk slash at the end on the other direction, anything between those is a comment, and it's not gonna. The code just skips it. It doesn't care whether it's there or not. I can delete that, and it won't make any difference at all.
Yeah.
That's more the internal note. And that's something that actually mainly came from Charlie's version of these, where just kind of put those in there to help you organize your code. And I think we put the flag in there. The flag doesn't make any difference. It's purely a visual thing, but
I
just to
love how you
kind of
did that, Charlie.
yeah.
It's helped me a lot because when I fiddle with mine now, because otherwise it's just a bunch of gobbledygook to me. I don't understand what any of it is, but
Well,
those headings are key.
when you've got 30 of them, it's that flag helps you sort through them all to find the one you're looking for with a little sentence about what it's about. Otherwise, it's just
No, those are
uh,
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Um, and I think one of the things I've tried not to put a lot of comments, so you can put comments
Yeah.
in the code as well. Like that's not going to be recognized at all. For these, sometimes in ScribeWare, it's helpful to test by moving the end of the
Yes,
comment
but I'm
and
not
like
really worried about changing font color.
right. So like taking the end of this comment here and deleting it and putting it at the end here. And so now I've commented out this entire change.
That's
And so
right.
this whole thing is a big comment. And it's not going to be recognized by the report. So if you're trying to troubleshoot, you can sometimes just comment out things. And so that's one of the reasons this was done like this. But then you have to just remember to
Well, sometimes you want to not use them and then keep them in case you want to use them later.
yep,
So you just comment it out.
yep, you can do that as well. Um, So yeah, so you got your color pickers, and then let me go back to this. I tried to put a couple different examples in there. So like, if I copied and paste this one here, I would get this, light overlay on there with the black text. This I just pulled, with the color picker, you can also um, pull something out. So like if I wanted the background to match the branding, I could open my color picker, pick the eyedropper tool here, and then go over to my
Oh,
logo and
that's
say,
sweet.
I want that color. I want that to be just a slightly orange shade. I want the background, the text to be black. Um, these have to be the same. Like these are the two lines. So if you wanted the lines to be a different color.
So this color picker tool is something that you've added in here. Yes.
This is the browser.
Yeah.
Chrome does that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's just
Yeah, maybe I'm in Edge. Maybe Edge won't do that for me.
I think it has something similar. Chrome and Edge now use the same base, but it might be a little bit different.
Yeah, Edge,
Um,
Edge does have it, Charlie.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
Um,
So to open up that little black thing, do you hit view page source?
Inspect down at the bottom.
Okay, there it is.
Yep.
I like how you turned yours black. Might try that.
Yeah, and then to get into this page here, I'll just do that again. So usually I just pick any element. It's like this is a paragraph element for the overview. And then I go down to the CSS and I just look for one that says style.css. And that links me to the style sheet. I could go into sources and find it, but I just found that's the easiest way. And then I just come down to the bottom and do all my testing right at the bottom of that file. Um, and let's see. So basically, the way CSS is going to work, you've got your comment we just talked about, and I forget the exact terms to this, but basically, you have anything outside of the brackets is going to be what your which property you're replacing. So a header, if it's a pound sign, then that's a ID. There's IDs and classes and stuff like that. You can get into all that. But basically anything that's in the header, I want to change everything under the header to be font color this and the font weight. So like, and then within the brackets, then you have, this is what I want to change and this is what I want to change it to. Change the font weight, change it to bold. The spacing here doesn't quite matter. You could do it like this if you wanted to. and that would still do the same thing. It's just the typical way to do it is to have the open bracket and then have all of your properties indented just a little bit. But you'll see sometimes some of the ones that I've used before, just I do it like that just to keep it simple. Um, but yeah, and so that's where you would also, so one other place you can change these is if you inspect the element, like let's go here to the, like find the spot where it gets the whole header. Um, and let's see, this right here, it says ID equals header. And so that's where you had that # header. And so right here is the stuff that we just put in there, the color, black, font weight, bold. That's line 2328. That was, that's where we were just a second ago. So it's put it in here. And so when you're actually in the element, you can make changes here. And the nice thing here is if I delete the bold, it'll give me, like I can make it bolder. And it'll give me some options. I can make it lighter. That didn't really do much, but and then you can also when you're talking about the font weight, you can 500, 600, 700. You can make it different weights.
Oh, jeez.
Um,
Sick.
and so
So
lots of options there.
so when you're doing that, if you didn't know what the terminology or syntax was, does that IntelliSense also work if you just like type in color colon, if you wanted to type it in manually, would it start prompting you for certain things or only when you already have some code written?
It does a decent job. So like if I were to type text, like I start typing, like if I
Like
want to
that.
underline, so text, and so like text decoration is where you get to underline. And
Wow.
so I can go down to that, hit tab, and then it gives me my options here, like line through, and so you can kind of sort through them and see if you're not sure what the different ones do. Um,
This is
like
like
I want to
Christmas,
underline
Tim.
everything. Um,
And it's just so infinite almost. Just
Yeah.
and so then
Tim,
if you
Tim,
if
I'm
you're
trying to
doing
play
it.
with this while you're doing this, and I'm doing everything you're doing, but it's not making a change on the report. So what is there something I missed with that you clicked to actually cause it to do that?
No.
Okay.
So you're in the inspect. If you were to like come in here and start unchecking things, does it change things just on this view?
Down there on style.
So he's on
Yeah.
elements, right?
Well, so elements is this top box that shows all the elements on the page, and then this bottom box is styles. And so that's the
Okay, so you
um
want to be in the styles area, right?
Yeah, so you can edit things from the styles, and that's where if you do it from the sources, which is where I was testing things, it doesn't
Yeah.
autocomplete anything for you. It doesn't give you suggestions really. It does a little bit, but not to the same degree, not where you can tab through them. Like I would if I start, I think it'll,
it's kind of edit
sometimes it does.
light as opposed to
Yeah.
edit.
But here it will. And so like so I did that header text decoration underline. I wanted to underline everything, all the text in the header. Um, if I wanted to put that in the report now, um, I can, this one's easy because it came from something I already had in the source. Um, but I can also just copy this and just remember, okay, this is going in the header. Go to my sources here if I didn't have any of this already. And do the header and then just paste it in right there. And it'll paste in that code. And you just have to look at, what is it changing and what is the change? And so these two are two different ones. So like the header, the regular CSS has header text align right, and then we added header text decoration and they wouldn't interact anyway. So it doesn't matter which order they're in. Um,
Tim, do you recommend that people learn in the light version and then expand as they go along, or?
You can get a lot of information out of this,
Yeah.
especially like because this is the CSS that's already in there, and so you can look at this. All right, what do we already have? And this is kind of a tricky one because this is about the picture here.
Yeah.
But you can say, all right, the background size covers the page. What else can we do with this background image? We can have it, you know, show up
Interesting. Can
lots
you
of
so you
different
can
ways.
adjust because I've noticed that it's weird. I've never really understood, but I feel like sometimes the cover picture zooms in more than others. Uh,
Um, so that's often going to be a function of your screen size.
okay.
Um, and so if you have a wide screen, it's going to zoom in more. And especially if it's the normal zoom level.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and so it just depends on the size and shape of the screen, really, and the style of the picture. For the cover pictures, I always recommend doing horizontal pictures, um, because if you take the vertical, up and down portrait pictures, then you're just going to zoom into a little tiny section in the middle of the cover picture. So I would always do horizontal pictures when you're taking the cover picture. And I always what I told my employee was to, you know, go to take the picture and then take 5 steps backwards and just go further back from where you are and like make it look like a poorly taken picture where the house is too small because on the header it's gonna zoom in. Um, but but yeah, I mean that's just kind of the way that this is set up. And just have to kind of work with that. So let me jump into a couple other examples. Um, let's see. And just, stuff like putting backgrounds behind your logo. I was messing with that one today. This one's a pretty popular one of changing these buttons. And this is I just updated this.
Nice,
Got
Tim.
a little better code on this one, but if you wanted to change the buttons here, you would again, so I'm just gonna refresh this. I'm gonna hit the URL and just hit enter. And that's just gonna clear out everything I've been doing. Go back to the normal one. And then again, just jump into the styles, go all the way to the bottom. Um, and I'm gonna paste in this button color one. Um, and this is another one. Like you can do so like the button color here, I can click on the color, take the dropper and say, all right, I want my buttons to match my logo. Um, and then when you look at that, it's okay.
So
I can't see the
sweet.
text anymore. So now I'm going to come in and say, all right, the border is a black border around it. That's fine. The color is always text. So let's just take the color and make it black. And then uh, this piece down here, and I've got this listed over here. So basically, this sets the color for the icon. Is this bottom thing right here? It says to fill the icon on there with white. So if I don't want that, for this one, I know that the default was black, and this code here is making it white. So there's no reason to just change that to black. I can just delete that line, and it'll go back that the default is white. Same here. I can just delete the text color because the text color started out as black. So I don't need to modify that. Um, Another thing that's nice about finding this in the element side. So I'm just going to click on this box and go into the button here. And actually here's all that code that I just put in. Um, if I want to see, okay, what does this padding do? Like I can click on this number 12 and I can use my scroll wheel. And it'll change. Numbers will be incremented on the scroll wheel. So like what's the border radius do? Okay, if I make that higher, it makes it more rounded. If I scroll that down to 0, it's going to make it into a square. If I make
Border
it negative,
radius.
yeah.
Yeah.
Love the
Um,
radiuses.
yeah. Um, And so, I can go through and figure out, what do these do? Like, what if I take off this justify content center? That's probably not doing that much. How about align items? Okay, if that's not on, it's going to put everything up at the top. So, there's a lot that you can explore here. Like, what if I take off this margin? Okay, that's, adding a little bit of
And
space
so,
above
and
it.
then when you get it where you want it, you just copy it and paste it into ScribeWare.
Yep. hmm And so I can, because this one is the one that I already put in, I can just go back and actually could just take it from here if I wanted, and copy and paste that into ScribeWare. Usually these aren't already here, and you're just kind of going. So let's say we wanted to change the title here. So I'm going to click on this. It's an H1 element for header one. The two places you can change things. So if I go into element style, then I'm changing it just for that specific element. There's no way I can take that back to ScribeWare because there's no like address for that exact element. So stay out of element style unless you're just testing things. But um, right here, I've got H1, and that's for the header one, so I can change this to um,
Dude, that's
change
crazy.
that to
This is
something. Now what
Pandora's
that's going to
box.
do, because it's the address here is H1, and I said all H1 is color green, then anywhere I've got an H1 in the report, it's going to be color green. And I think that's just mainly that's going to be all your chapter separations. Um, and so if you were saying, well, no, I only want the boilerplate, then you have to look at the at how the code is here. So this is an H1 and it's inside of boilerplate. And all of
Mm.
these are in boilerplate, but then everything else is in the report or somewhere else. So if I want to make this more specific, uh, and I actually have to go back to sources to test it. So if I just do H1, um, and this is at the bottom now, so it's overriding. I usually use colors just to tell tell what I'm doing, and then go through and do what I need. So if I say H1 color red, that's going to change every H1. If I go back to elements and I say, okay, above this is the class boilerplate, and I want to just do those, then when I go to sources, I'm going to say dot boilerplate, so period is for class, boilerplate space H1 is red. Now, previously, I changed the main H1 to green. So anything that has this address, it's in the boilerplate, and then a space means any number of levels down. So it could be buried deep in the boilerplate, or it could be the next thing under there. Any H1 in the boilerplate is going to be red. When I scroll down into the report, my headers are green. Because those are not being affected by this because they don't follow this address to boilerplate. Um, and there's a lot more that you can get into. Like you can put different symbols in there to say, okay, the exact, only the direct child element of this. So you can really get into like specifically targeting exact elements there. Um,
And that'll work for text size in the same way. Because when I build my boilerplates, large, medium, small text doesn't really register in my mind in terms of what that means. So
right.
in here, I could say I want it to be, 16 pixels or whatever it is, which is like a 12 font or something. However,
Yep. Yep.
okay.
So the P is going to be a paragraph. And that's going to be what your most of your text is in. So like this paragraph here, it looks like the font is probably 16. I'm not sure why it's crossed out there. Um, but so what you would do is if you wanted all the paragraphs in in this boilerplate to be different, then you could go, and I'm just going to do an element just to test it. So we're just going to do font size 12 px. And so I just changed it for this element. That's not really useful. It's not something I can change, but now I know, okay, font size 12 px is what I want. Now let me copy that, and the address I want for this is going to be I want P elements in the boilerplate to be font size 12px. So I'm going to go back to my sources and say, all right, dot boilerplate P, and then open the brackets and then paste in the 12px. And now every font in the boilerplate is 12, but the rest of your port is not. Because these don't follow the same address because this address has boilerplate in it. Um, And so if you wanted to do like the ones with the summary, that's a ID. So this one here does summary P, and it takes all the P elements in the summary. It doesn't take bullets because bullets aren't LI elements. They're going to be different. So you do have to, but yeah, anything in the summary that's not a bullet is going to become that size. Now I can do multiple here. I can put a comma and say summary bullet li, and that'll make all of those items in the summary smaller.
Tim, does this have any impact when you make the PDF?
It does. So the PDF is one of the trickiest parts of ScribeWare CSS because there are things like changing the font size and colors are pretty straightforward for the PDF. Changing some of the more complicated things, the PDF is basically the print mode of the report. So if I were to take this report and just hit print, it's going to use the print formatting. And
Oh, so you
so
just hit print and print preview basically to see what the PDF would look like?
pretty much, yeah. And there's actually a better way to do that. And so there's always another drawer down here. It's a little bit easier when the font's not so big, but um, in this in this rendering tab down at the bottom. And if you don't have it, sometimes you have to go in and add it. But in the rendering tab, there is a emulate CSS media type. So what I can go here is, no emulation is screen because that's the default. I can click on print, and that is going to change the report to look like what it will look like in the PDF. Now, obviously, the size is going to be different. Um, but it's going to change like to the 3 pictures wide, which is different in the PDF, whereas on the HTML it's as wide as it can be. But basically, this is the information that the PDF converter takes, and then converts that over um, into a PDF. And so it's a third party that does that, or it's a library that's added on. And so
It's interesting that the highlighting or like my photo annotations get messed up. It looked like my ellipses are really dark. If you keep scrolling, there's one.
oh, this is an old report. Like this was like a really, really old one. I don't
Okay.
know. That's not
Yeah.
anything to do with CSS. That's just
Okay. I gotcha.
um something with that picture on that. Actually, this is one that I had on my account for a while, so sometimes I just like draw. Yeah, I was drawing
Yeah, you
arrows on
might have
this.
just been fiddling with them.
Yeah, I was fiddling on this one as a test report.
Tim, can I ask a question about that rendering from PDF to browser? Is there a way that we could set the browser that we're working on, the view, to show as the PDF?
This is
Renders.
the way. You have to open the inspect tab and come down and change it to print every time.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think there's a way to automatically do it.
Yeah.
I wish there was, but no, you always just kind of have to go in and change it there.
Make some
Change it between.
CSS for it, yeah.
Right. It's like this is going to be your cover page, and and there's extra logic in there that says where to that this should be its own page and stuff like that, but that you won't be able to see that here as easily. But
And
yeah, so
so,
that's
well,
um
you've done CSS to just customize the PDF and not the HTML, correct?
correct. So the way you do that is you set a media type, and so you do at media print, and then it is basically this is not formatted very well, but if I take this and um, let's see, let's just pick an element. So we'll just say um, put this drawer back down. So this is what did I just get this one here? Overview dash print. That's not a good one because that's a print element itself. So like there's 2 different overviews in here. One is for printing and one is for not printing. Let me just go to we'll go to this one. So this is the H1 that we were just messing with. Um, so right now, I'll get rid of all this size stuff. Right now I have the boilerplate H1 is red. I can do at media print, open brackets there, and then do dot boilerplate H1, open another bracket, color blue. So now anything within this at media print wrapper is going to follow this rule. So I'm in print mode right now. My cover is blue, or my H1 is blue. When I go back to the screen version, it's still going to be red.
Crazy. That's
Um,
amazing.
and so
Yeah.
that's how you would kind of direct something at the PDF version.
I know Stanley on here has a lot of special PDF needs, and this seems like how you could get a lot of that, Stanley.
Yep.
So you're overriding your CSS in the report to print in a different font color.
Yeah, you're saying that if you detect that the media mode is the print version, then use this code. Like this is the first version of it. It says like change the boilerplate to red, and then you go down below and it says if you're in print mode, change the boilerplate header to
Yeah,
blue.
gotcha. That's how you read
Um,
that CSS. Okay.
yep. And
Yeah.
then somewhere up here in this file, there's another H1 that says, make it green because that's what I had before. And then this is your font size and your margin, all your information is there. So you could
That would have been
um,
outside the wrapper.
Yeah, well, this is the original one, and it's only green because I put that in there when I was
Gotcha.
inspecting the element earlier. That was my
Gotcha.
addition. But
Gotcha.
yeah, so it says H1, and so this font size of 40, it doesn't change because none of these other H1s override the font size. So the font size stays, but the color changes.
So that's part of hierarchy.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So back to here. So this will be sending out. I got a couple things to clean up on here, but I will publish this, and so that I think this kind of gives you a decent idea of how to take these and play with them. So
Yeah.
like there's different things you can do. Like if you wanted to, like if you don't want to put a summary PDF, like I don't do the summary PDF on my reports. I just wanted to download the whole PDF, and so I just paste this in, and it says in the utilities for the summary PDF button, I want you to hide that. There is if you put exclamation point important, then that kind of lets it jump in line. So even if there's something overriding that, it bumps it up to the top. Because the hierarchy, so it's the order, but like I was saying earlier, you can have a element specific change. And so like in this element style, I can do color yellow. And so that one is yellow, and that's overridden, even though these other ones, um, but basically, if it overrides everything, so it doesn't matter the order. But if I take this red one and I say I want that to be important, then it'll override that one. So like this brings it to basically the top of the list. So
So
sometimes if it's a pre-styled one, like anything that you saw when I deleted all the CSS, some of the styles come in there, like the colors on some of the modifiers, those get added directly to the element, so you have to add the important tag to override those.
let's say that I'm in my and I screwed it up. It's like screwed up. I need to start over, or I need to clear it all. What is
Hmm.
the tip? What is the best tip for so that we don't have to call you and say, please help me out of this conundrum I'm in?
Yeah, so I mean, you're talking about the stuff in
Yeah, if
here.
you're
So
well, if you're just in there practicing and you actually put it in your template and you're like, oh crap, I
Well,
had
I do want
yeah,
to just stop for a sec. That the cool thing that Tim showed us, where you just fiddle with it in the finished report, is so nice because it's really all temporary. Like
yeah,
none of it's permanent, and so
right in
that
the
lets you
browser. Yeah,
experiment. And then
yeah.
you try not to paste it into ScribeWare until you're more sure. But even then, you can just delete code.
Or disable.
Yeah.
So what I would probably do with this toggle here for enable company-wide CSS, I would come copy all of your CSS out and then just disable it, then preview the report, and then that way you're getting your report that has no CSS on it. Um, and and then you take whatever you pasted out of this box, go into your browser and paste it at the bottom of the source page, and then that way it'll actually help because it'll do all the coloring in there, and so sometimes you can see where you're missing a bracket or whatever just by looking at the colors. But just mess with it in there until you've got it. The other thing that is just super easy to do now is just take the whole thing and paste it into AI.
That's right.
And just say what is wrong with this CSS? Like it's probably one of the easiest things they can do is to look at the syntax on the CSS and say, you're missing a bracket right here. And
Yeah.
they just spit that back at you. Um, and so that was actually one of the things that I wanted to um, look at as well. So, oh yeah,
One thing may help too is when you're into that part of looking at how to make those changes, is that when you're in the inspect area, I know in the Microsoft Edge browser, they've got Copilot built in now, so you can just click on that Copilot icon in the CSS over there, and you can ask questions, and it will help you along getting that
yep.
corrected.
Yeah, I haven't messed with, I think Chrome has that as well. I have not messed with it yet, but yeah, I did see that yeah, they've got AI
That's pretty
assistants
nice.
here, so you can turn on the AI and just ask questions about it, um, directly in the browser. Yeah,
It's
definitely.
everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And on that note, so I've been working on a chat a GPT, like a custom GPT. And so what I've done with this one is I've given it a lot of rules as far as like explaining how ScribeWare reports work. And so this is something that I'm still working on, but I'll publish this and
Huge, huge
and paste
applause.
it.
Huge applause for that. That'll be great.
But yeah, so you'd be able to just ask a question. And so that's, the stuff we just talked about is kind of give you a base understanding because I find that even when I run something through AI, I usually have to change little bits of it. But we'll have this tool available as well where you can, like,
Where would we find the link to this once it's up?
I'll send it out.
Yeah.
And so I've got it, asking questions of like, do you want this in the HTML, PDF, both? But basically what this just said is, here's a safe version of it. We're going to take H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6 and make it color blue. And it just picked a color blue there. And so if you just take that and paste it in directly to paste it into here, which for now I'm just going to paste it into the bottom here. I'm going to get rid of the stuff we were just working on. Actually, all of this is stuff we were messing with. Paste it right here. And so that's going to make, the only reason this yellow one didn't is because I've got that one done to the element itself. But, it just changed all of the headers, any H, whether it's in the comment or not. And let me see if we have, I don't know if this template, yeah, so Dylan does have some headers within the comment as well. So no, actually that's just blue. That's just normal text. I don't think Dylan's got headers in this report. But it'll go through there. And then let's see, I haven't fully tested this.
So what was the prompt that brought that?
I just said I want all my headers to be blue. Like just something simple. So I mean you can do a
Awesome.
lot better prompt engineering there, but
Yeah.
awesome. It's just and then
So will that be a link in that finished report that's like got all the CSS in it, you think, Tim? Or how would we access that? Okay.
Yeah, I'll link it there. And so I just said, only the headers in the summary. And so now it's going to say, okay, then put the summary in front of all these headers. And that's what you would copy and paste in. And then only your headers in the summary would be blue. And then if you only want the H2 and H3, so and then here's if you only want it at media print, if you want all your headers to be only in the PDF. So it tries to give you some different options there to pick from. So you have to have a, should have a general idea of what this means, but you can have really no knowledge of it and just keep asking questions and pasting stuff in and refining it, and still get somewhere with it. But
the
yeah,
blind squirrel approach.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes you can get a better answer from one engine as over another. One engine will give you a mile long CSS to try, and he put it in another one and says, "Oh, I can fix that better," and it'll spit it out in just a shorter version of it. So
Hmm.
um,
But I'm excited about this tool because like you couldn't say I want my summary headers to be blue just to general CSS or general ChatGPT because it doesn't know that, it doesn't know the structure of the report. Now it does also give you the option, and sometimes it'll ask for it, but um, the ChatGPT can also read the report. And so if you wanted to, still in inspect mode, if you wanted to just take the URL, and say, in this report, I want this to happen. Like if there's something really specific, you can feed it the URL. It'll be able to read the HTML, search for what the selectors and the properties that it needs.
Does
And
that document have to be a public published, or
it
would
has to
it?
be published. I don't think it can read it off of a preview because a
It's
preview
not
is
going
just
to read
stored
it
on your
off the
computer.
straight off. It's not going to read it straight off the server, is it?
Uh, well, if it's published, then it's on the server. Or if it's on the server, then it's
Oh,
published.
I guess I meant unpublished. Okay. All right.
Correct. Yeah, it won't read it because there's until you hit published, it doesn't exist, period.
Gotcha.
And so
Gotcha.
yeah, publishing takes it, turns everything you have ScribeWare into HTML and CSS, and then you get that link and send it to ChatGPT, and
I've
it'll
tried to get it to read some of the files, and I've gotten a permissions error out of it in the past. So maybe that I didn't do something right. Okay.
yeah, this has been working. Now, if you try and give it the URL for a previewed report, then the preview is just a file on your computer, and it's not going to be able to read that.
Yeah.
You'd have to upload it, but you have to upload all the parts of it, and it's not worth it. So yeah, I would just publish it and publish a sample one and send that URL over to um, get the information. Um, but yeah, so when I learned CSS, none of this was around, but it's become super helpful to like even some of the stuff that I have been using for a while. Sometimes I'll run that through AI and just say, is this the best way to do this? And sometimes you learn something of here's a better way to do it. So yeah, I'll put that once that's published. I got to figure out how to share it properly, but I'll probably just put a link to it right here, and then send this out, and you'll just have here's some general instructions, and then lots of examples and pictures for examples, and then a link to a
That's
Well,
so
to a
great,
chat.
Tim.
one other question about that particular thing in ChatGTP. You need to be a paying subscriber to make it to get to it.
I don't think so. I think it uses whatever subscription level you have. Um, so you can
Chat
change,
will give you like 5 or 10 free responses a day.
yeah,
So once you exceed that or get to that limit, you have to wait 24 hours to do it again. I paid for mine because it became annoying, but it's like $20 a month.
yep. But
All
yeah,
right.
it'll if you're logged in and you have a subscription, then it'll use that. But if you're not, sometimes you can switch it to a lower model and you get more queries. But you can, it basically it runs off of your subscription. It just feeds in the ScribeWare information. Um, that that kind of gives it the context to help you not have to add all that. Um, but yeah, questions on any of that? I know
Well,
that was kind
so
of scattershot, but
no, that was awesome, Tim. There's a couple things. Donnie Bentley chimed in on the chat that he doesn't do much of this, but he always saves his entire list in a separate location, which is not a bad idea. Just as a little backup before you start messing with everything.
the CSS, yeah, and that's where I said you don't have to download anything, but if you do download a code editor, like VS Code or even like I used Notepad plus plus, I think for a while, like something that has that formatting that'll automatically indent and that'll do the colors and everything. Like I do like to you know, I'll do all my stuff off of ScribeWare in a code editor that has all those extra features, and then just copy and paste it in. I rarely change things in the ScribeWare window itself. Usually I change it somewhere else, copy the whole thing, just paste over everything in ScribeWare.
Yeah,
and then
that's
test it.
super cool. There was another question. Can I copy my modifications and just paste it into the at media print section if I want to look similar to the browser version? I think uh you said some elements don't carry into the print version, so will any changes that I do not propagate? So like trying to get the uh print version to look more like the HTML version is, I think, what I'm getting out of that.
Um, in general, the like you just don't put an at media to uh to make it apply to both.
Mhm,
If something is at media print, it's because it really needs to be
mhm,
to um in order for the PDF editor or the PDF converter to work. So for example, the pictures are sized differently in the PDF convert or in the PDF version. And so there's it's kind of interesting if you so we'll just kind of get into inspecting these elements. So in this element here, uh so in this class that has this is the the box for the observation. This one right here, you can see it's highlighting just the observation text. And then you actually have two sets of media in every one of them. So this is your observation media hidden print. Um, and then the observation media print. So this is hidden when you print is
oh,
basically the way that
interesting.
is. And so that's a class that's added to it, and this is the print version. So if I were to take this one and so this one says print display none. Um or let's see. Yeah, print display none. And this one is can't see all of it. Um oh, this is the summary. It's a lot harder to do the summary. Let me go down to the report. Makes a little more sense in the report. Um, and one with two pictures. Like this one has two pictures in it. We've got the image container. Oh, sorry, gotta go all the way up here. So we've got the hidden print and the print version. And so when you switch to the print version, like this one is currently on display none. If I put that on there, there's two of these pictures in every report. One of them is in a table that's three wide, and the other one is however wide it needs to be. So one of these versions, if you had 10 pictures, it would display them all the way across. The other one is stuck in a three wide grid because it has to be for the PDF converter to work. And so there's some things like that that you can kind of learn as you go through, just how, there's some things that they create a print version and um, a non-print version, and then when you get into the CSS for it, like basically if you look in here, you've got a big print tab. Let's see where it starts. So this is your app media print in the ScribeWare CSS. And so all of these are the changes that ScribeWare does for printing, and they're pretty much there um, to make it compatible with the PDF printer, essentially.
Hmm.
And some of it is like, formatting the table of contents, which doesn't show up in the regular report. And so yeah, so that's what that is. Um, but no, I you could override some of that, but you would have to know exactly what you're trying to make look like the report.
Does all that specificity come from the type of PDF generator that ScribeWare has chosen to use?
Some of the limitations do come from the PDF generator that ScribeWare is using, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because it uses a set version of JavaScript and a set like a certain way to process things, and it doesn't process flex elements well. It has to have them, in the right shape. Um, and so yeah, that's why there has to be different ones.
So for the cover page of the report, I
Hmm.
would really like to see the cover image larger to fill up more of just the cover page. The other photos I are fine,
Yep.
but like just that
On
one
the
image
PDF,
is on
Jason?
the PDF, that one
Yeah.
image is just so small because I've had to send some hard copies to some
Yep.
people who aren't good with technology in recent months, and they requested hard copies. And I noticed when I printed it out, it just the image was really it was kind of meh, you know.
Yep.
Agreed.
Let's look at that because I think a lot of people probably would feel the same way. And there's some reasons for that. One of the main reasons is
Yeah.
this is you have to reserve space for this to go on the cover page. So if you're not doing an executive summary, then you can afford to make the like to take up some of that space that's been reserved for it. But I think that would be a great example to look at real quick if everybody wants to. Um, and so what we're going to do is we're going to go to emulate media type and go to print. And so this is our cover page, and it pretty much just stops right here, which you won't know that until you print it. But if we want to look at these elements, so the cover photo print, and so that's a special print element just for the cover page. When we look at the at media print for it, the height on this is 2.6. And I believe the image on this one is also 2.6. And so you actually have to change it in both places. Let me actually just see real quick if
Go to the handy dandy cheat sheet.
Yeah.
let me just see what it says. So we'll just take this. That looks close. Um, take this and we're going to go again, just jump into a style, go to the bottom of the style sheet, paste it in here. That might be a little bit too big. Um, and so that's essentially going to push everything off the page. And so what it did was it just said the width is 100%, the height's 100%. We want it to fill the whole area. So we don't want that. But it just
Can you
from
just switch the
having
100 to like 80 or something? Or
yeah, and so what the way that I would do this one, and I could probably ask AI enough times and get it to do this, but you got the height here. It's at 2.6 inches. If I just change this to a 3, um, that makes the image bigger, but the container that the image was in is not gotten any bigger. So I have to go back to that one and also make that one do a 3.6. Um, and so that pushed both of those down. And then what I would probably do on this one, I don't have any certification logos. I don't have a big signature. I think if I were to go ahead and test this one, it would probably fit on the page fine. If I were doing certification logos and signatures and all the stuff that's at the bottom of the page. And if I didn't have this section in here, what I would probably do is take so you got your overview dash print, and that's been reserved 1.8 inches. And so if I got an inch of that, then I would just take an inch off of the overview print, and that way I know everything else is still going to fit because everything's still reserved the right amount of space. Now this is overlapping because there's an overview on this one, but if I weren't using overview, then I wouldn't. Otherwise, I would have to find somewhere else to take that from, or just not, like I said, not use certifications or stuff like that, and then it'll push
but that
off.
does explain the reason the picture is kind of small on the PDF is that we need to leave space for both signatures, certifications, initials, and an overview
Yep.
space. So all of that can take up space on there.
Yep. And so there's, if you're not using all that, it's really easy to make the cover page bigger. And so what that would look like, so I just did this in the element side. But if I wanted to, so I changed overview print to 0.8 inch, and so I'm going to copy that one. Um, and on Windows I use the clipboard feature that lets you copy multiple things. And so I'm going to copy overview print height is 0.8 inches. I'm going to go back to the image. I changed the cover image print to 3.6. I'm going to Control C to copy that. And I'm going to go to this one. I changed this one to 3.6 as well. Copy that. I'm going to go into my, and then I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page because that now I want to see what it was originally so that I can go check and see if I've got it right. So I'm going to go into my style sheet. I'm going to go down to the bottom of it. And actually here you can see right there is where the cover page is set, but just happened to be there. So I'm going to do at media print. So that opens that bracket. And then I do Windows V, see my history. And so I'm
That's
going to,
good. That's a nice feature there.
yeah, I love it. And so I'm going to paste in the cover page print. I didn't copy into my closing brackets, so I have to close those and, do the formatting here. Windows V again to put in my image print. And I don't know where that came from. That wasn't really part of it, but that is there. And then I got to do my closing bracket. And then the overview to make that smaller. I got to close that one. And so there, like I just pulled those out. So I overrode the cover photo print to 3.6 inches. That same folder or the same section cover photo print, and then any image inside that, which is the cover, is only the cover image. Also change that to 3.6 inches, and the indenting it doesn't matter. It makes it look better, but you can paste it in with that whatever. And then I took the overview print and changed the height down to 0.8 inches. And so
So
this
do
block
all
of
images have that?
do all images have
There's like a bucket that the image goes in. So when you edit the image size, you have to edit both the bucket and the image itself to kind of be related.
Oh, the container?
Yeah, the
yeah,
container. Yeah.
there's a container in ScribeWare there is, at least for the images in the cover and on the comments.
Okay.
Um, and the containers help with the spacing and then the image goes inside the container. But now I can take this code here, Control C to copy it, go into ScribeWare, and I'm just going to do it in the company-wide one. I'm going to paste in that, edit out of this, and we're just going to pretend that we're not doing an overview or we're doing a very, very short overview because we just took up its space. And so I'm going to publish. And PDF editing is hard because it's just a long process to check it. And so that's why you want to use the browser and use the inspect as much as you can to get it as close as you think it's going to be. And so I'll open this actual report link. I usually wait a few seconds after I open it to generate the PDF. Sometimes it's not fully ready on the server yet. And then the first time you generate the PDF, it's going to take a little bit more time, especially if you just published. But when that pops up, it should.
And why does it take time? Is it
So ScribeWare doesn't generate the PDF until someone clicks the button. And so this right now, it is sending it to that third-party PDF generator and
Yep.
creating the PDF.
Yep. Okay.
And then every time after the first time, it'll be pretty much instant because once it creates it, it saves it on the server.
Yeah, look at that.
So yeah,
And
so
that
in
looks
this,
that even that's a lot better already.
yeah. So all we did was we added an inch to the photo side. We could have done more. I didn't even have to shrink this on this one because I got so much space down here. I didn't really know what it was going to look like until I opened this, but because there's no certifications or anything, I probably could have just left it all alone and just changed that
So was
to
the
be bigger.
original question how it compares to the print to the HTML version? Was that the original question, or was it
The,
what
well,
was
it was it was just about making the cover page bigger and having it. I guess was this the same question about having using the
Well, we
HTML
we
version?
started with a different question, but
Okay,
I think
got it.
this illustrates what it was a good project to get kind of accomplished.
I think
Yeah.
with this particular picture on the PDF, you have to be careful as to what kind of machine you're going to open it on because you can get too big.
So the nice thing with the PDF, one of the only nice things about the PDF, is that it is not browser specific. So the PDF is going to take the raw HTML, send it to the PDF converter on the server, and return it back on the server. And so it doesn't matter. Like when you're testing a change to PDF, you only have to test it once on one browser. If you're testing something on HTML, it could show up differently because different browsers use different versions of CSS or have, there's some like Firefox, there's a few things that they don't allow that other CSS, other browsers do. And so if you do, fancy stuff of like checking if an element is within this element, changing it based on that, sometimes Firefox just won't do that because it just doesn't
What about
allow it.
viewing it on mobile and
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
iPads versus iPhones or
Yeah.
Androids?
So you wouldn't do that on the PDF. I'm going to go back to I guess any questions on the PDF before we switch to that? We're good there. Okay. Um, so we'll go back to the screen version of it. What I was just talking about with the this section here for um, so this is at media print. That's one of the media options is to have it do the printed version. This is page. This has to do with the margins when you're um, printing the PDF. This next section, and this is just ScribeWare. So this is at media only screen and max width, 520 pixels. So basically, the way that the CSS for the report is working is it's just one report, but then this says if you're on a screen, not printing, and your screen is only is 520 pixels wide or less, which pretty much says it's a phone, then we're gonna do these things differently. So we're gonna change the size of the header, everything on the header. We're gonna change the way that the navigation menu is. We're basically hiding it off to the side. And so you can test that here. The second button at the top is going to give you different dimension options. And so you can say, iPhone 14 Max is going to be this wide. And so this is what the report's going to look like on an iPhone.
So where's the menu? Okay, there's the menu hamburger.
The menu's here and it brings it in from the side.
But it comes over the text so that you have to off the menu, on the menu to read the text.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's just the way, I mean, there's really no other way to do a menu on something like that.
You could offer some advice that your client reads on an iPad.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I mean, you could do whatever you wanted, but you could do
I think we've done a pretty good job. I've actually read a bunch of some reports on the mobile. It's shockingly good, I think. I mean, for a tiny little screen to be able to read a whole report.
Yeah, I think it's let me just take this.
Such a challenge.
But if you really like if you wanted to do something, you could add special rules for the mobile and I mean you could even just disable on mobile if you really wanted to. You could just say body
and then there's a mobile horizontally too, right?
And then it just won't show up on mobile at all. And it'll show up fine on the
you could the mobile and then it would say only readable on iPad.
You could potentially do that. I don't know if your customers will like it, but but yeah, they're and that's one that
I would rather the customer read my entire report, and I don't like that. So
yeah,
if we want to box heads with the customer,
read on a big screen TV only.
Yeah.
But then they show up on site and they want to pull up something and check what it was. Like you wouldn't actually want to hide it, but there would be a way potentially to using CSS put a note in there
Yeah.
Like you could like you can target uh all kinds of stuff. You can target modifiers, you can target summary sections. Like you could add some red text to the boilerplate that says if you're viewing this on a small screen, it's better to view on a bigger screen, and then set it to only show up red boilerplate text when it's on a small screen.
Yeah.
Can you use CSS for a pop-up so that when they first open it on an iPhone, it pops up a warning screen that or a information
No.
screen?
And so
No.
that's a good question, and that's something we haven't covered. So CSS is going to change the style of
Gotcha.
things.
Gotcha.
You're not, for the most part, you're not adding elements. You can take away elements by hiding it, but you're not going to add stuff. You're not going to change logic. You're not going to change the way that, like, if something is done in JavaScript or it's not just a straight CSS thing. There's not a lot you can do to change it. Like some of the things of having these show up, like the summary show up or the inspection show up, that's all controlled by JavaScript, and so it's hard to change with CSS. Um, but there's a lot that you can do, but adding stuff is you will hit limitations, and there are it's fairly limited, but that's why you can go into the chat GPT or in any AI and just say, can I change this with CSS? You can't put complicated, like if it's this. I mean,
Yeah.
you could do it as a, if something is nested this way, then do this to it. But you can't say, I want to take any comment that starts with the word branch wiring and do this. You can't like read the text. It's more about reading the structure
Well, so guys,
of the
I just
report.
want to jump in. I think we should keep this at an hour and a half because I just think there's a good recorded length and I'd love everybody's feedback. Like we can do more of these. It seems like that I was really excited how many people showed up. Did you guys can give us some thumbs up if this was helpful. Hopefully this was good. And I feel like this is something that like we could kind of keep revisiting, but might be helpful to like do it in like bursts where we like have a little meeting like this. We can digest. Tim, I mean, serious credit. Thank you so much for putting this together. And we're going to be looking forward to like a ScribeWare report with all the CSS built into it, which I think is really
Hmm.
cool. And I don't know, I'm almost thinking this could be like a biannual meeting or something where like we just keep revisiting CSS and you guys can reach out to us and let us know things that you're doing with it, like hopefully this was fruitful and my dream with ScribeWare was always that everybody's report can look different. That was always kind of the goal, to liberate how you want to be. So thank you, Tim, for helping to start make that dream come true. I think this
Yeah.
really helps a lot.
Yeah, and if you're on the Facebook group, which I think a lot of you are, I would if you find something cool, share it there. Let people critique it. Let people maybe even look at it and say, hey, if you do it this way, it might be a little better. Like there's traditionally been a pretty good community on there of like helping each other with CSS with like specific things. And I'll now that I've got this report, like pretty much. Actually, everything on this report almost just came off of the forum. So there's other CSS I've done and other things I've worked on, but I just as people posted things or as I posted things to help people, I just put in another document and use that to pretty much as the basis for this one. So I look forward to continuing to build this out, and this doesn't have to like some of this isn't even mine. I'll probably go back and put in some credits for some of the people that did some of these, but
Charlie did a lot. Thanks, Charlie.
yeah,
You
Charlie did a
you
lot
were
of
always like a
these.
big early on CSS guy, so thanks for
Well,
leading the
Um,
way.
one thing I would add, if people are really getting into going and asking Gemini or Chat or whatever, make sure you qualify and say no Java, no HTML answers, please,
mhm.
because it will shorten down your hunt.
Yeah, cool.
How do you do a thumbs up?
Well, a lot of people were
They- they-
nice and gave us thanks guys. We appreciate y'all being here and what a great turnout and give us feedback, keep us posted, and we'll do what we can to share this. We'll put it both on the Scribers forum is on Facebook. Because if you're not on that, you can. It's spelled wrong at the moment, which is my dunce cap I have to wear for the next 28 days. But the Scribers forum on Facebook, and then YouTube and our website are all places we post stuff. So this meeting will get posted up on YouTube. And then I think, when we get our act together, we'll try to post this report that Tim is working on. I think maybe we can have it on our website. So those would all be places that we'll try to post this stuff up. So
and keep
great
adding
job,
to
Tim.
it. Send stuff you find, and if it's stuff other people would use, we can just keep building out this document and share it with everybody.
Bravo. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Great seeing everybody, and look forward to meeting you guys on the next one. Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Good night. Thanks.
Hey.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.